Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our preview series, looking ahead to the next Arsenal fixture, which of course this weekend is Arsenal facing Brighton, a fixture that's not been all that kind to us in history, but we need it to be this weekend, coming off the back of a very disappointing result against Crystal Palace. And we could also do with some of our rivals dropping points as well, because there's not a lot of good news coming out of Arsenal this week. We're going to discuss that and more with, of course, our guests from the members crew and the Discord server. So let's introduce you to my guests. First of all, it's Moss. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
I'm good. I got a cold, but it's sunny and springtime, so it's good. Master.
Has the cold got to your brain, and hence why you've picked some of those players in your lineup? Is that why? I'm looking forward to seeing you talk through that a little bit later. But yeah, me and Moss are having a chat pre-show. I'm not really a big golfing fan, to be honest, but whilst the Masters is on, it's quite nice to have it in the background while you're working. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how this goes. But Woods put in a hell of a strike earlier on in the show. In the day, it was fantastic to see. We're also joined by Bobby. How you doing, Bobby? You good? You well?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Not into the Masters at all? Golf, your thing?
No, it used to be years ago. No.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a side, not hobby, but, a side interest just on the telly in the background. And for the first time in a year, returning to the channel, it's Simon. How you doing, mate? You good?
I'm very well, thank you. I've just recently become a dad, so
nice, congratulations!
Thank you very much. If I come out with any sort of nonsensical opinion, it's because I've been having a few sleepless nights. So I'll blame it on that.
Nonsensical opinions. Oh, we've got some lineups for you to go to later, people. Don't you worry. But first, before we go to the lineups, let's say hello to everybody in the chat box. Hope you're doing good and well. Chris and Harvey and Greg joining us. Peony Ween, of course, always. Alpha. Good to see you as well. Quao, we've got Garrett, we've got Essential Departure. Good morning to all of you guys and everybody else as well. Please make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new. We do these previews for every show and, of course, bring you all the latest Arsenal news with our 8 a.m. update shows as well. Let's kick off, though, with the frustrating news, Simon, of Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey out, looks like, for at least a few weeks. Could even be more than that. How big of a blow is this, and how well do you think we're going to react to it?
Considering that we didn't sign anybody in January, I think we're going to be looking at that and saying that was a real sort of missed opportunity and a bit of a mistake, really, from the board and from Edu. And this is it sort of biting us in the ass now, really. So, it does worry me a little bit. I'm excited to see Lokonga, and I'm really hoping that he can step up and show us what he's really made of. But at the same time, he's still young, and I think there's still some sort of worrying signs there. He likes to play a bit of a suicidal pass back to the goalie a bit too often, and that kind of worries me a bit. But like I said, I'm quite excited to see him step up, but it's Xhaka. It scares me. I think Xhaka really benefits from having Partey alongside him. That partnership really works. And, when you take Partey out of the equation, then you're just left with plain old Xhaka. And that's going to give me more sleepless nights. It's kind of not what I need at the moment.
No, of course. No, with a little one, it's the worst thing that you need. Although it gives you plenty of time to contemplate what we might do instead. Bobby, when it comes down to the replacement for Partey, Lokonga seems the obvious choice. And I mean, it's no spoiler to suggest that we've all gone for Lokonga in our teams. But in games against some of the real tougher fixtures against Chelsea and United and Spurs, do you think there's any benefit of bringing Mohamed El Neni's experience into the team over Lokonga?
No.
Good answer. Why? I will elaborate. Why not?
El Neni should have left in the January. We should have got a replacement. This is why my team is totally out there, because I'm furious now with what we didn't do in January. Now,
what would you have done? What would you have?
I would have brought the summer plan. I'm guessing that there would have been a plan already. Brought a couple of the signings forward. I had a little mini rant on Tuesday, the night before, after Crystal Palace, that we don't have a squad. We have 12 good squad players, and we have backups. I can't stand the word backups. not for Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah.
It should always be squad players. I don't know, because I used to go to Highbury and used to have the programme, and you never knew who was going to be on that pitch, not until the announcer. And now it's a case of we all know, and that bit's sad for me personally.
It's a weird concept, isn't it? About how kind of football's changed now. We're sitting here days ahead of the game, and we pretty much can work out. We know, despite our desired lineups being very different to one another's, we pretty much know what the lineup is probably going to be. And it is strange that we have access to all of this information now so much ahead of time. And I suppose there's few surprises when it comes to kind of lineups and stuff. Thankfully, the sport still gives us plenty of surprises, and we're going to hope, Moss, for a big surprise as much as we can, because Lokonga is young, he's raw, he's had some good performances. I actually thought he was our best midfielder this season up until he was dropped against Manchester United. I thought he was better than Xhaka. I thought he'd been better than Partey. And I thought it was very harsh that he got dropped when he did against Man United. He was taken out for Mohamed El Neni in that game, of course, and that followed suit in the Everton game as well. And he just never came back because Xhaka by that time had returned and then formed that partnership with Partey. So is there an element of, Lokonga's got a point to prove, and with Partey out, it's his time to shine?
Yeah. I think Sabby's been ready all year. I mean, when he has played, he's done pretty good, I thought. And then when we had Xhaka hurt and Thomas Partey, I think, was playing hurt, he was getting in there. And Odegaard was in there one time with them, and it wasn't like a set lineup. I think if he gets a couple games and he's getting, minutes under his belt, he'll do fine, Sambi. And hopefully it's only a couple of weeks for Thomas Partey.
Fingers crossed that it is.
Yeah.
Do you think that when we consider the games that we have, I mean, if we just have a quick look at Arsenal's fixtures coming up, obviously we've got Brighton.
These next two, we got to win.
We've got Southampton, and then we have Chelsea and Manchester United, followed by West Ham. If he is out for a month, he misses all of those games. Could even miss the game against Leeds on the 8th of May as well. Is Partey being out the biggest hit to our top four chances?
Yeah. I said in the January 6th, I think it was your show or Tree Talks, that Thomas Partey coming back, and it looked bad the first game when he got back from Ghana, he gets a red card right away. But since then, he's been awesome. And I said our biggest hope for top four is he's playing well, because then it just makes our whole system work. Because then Odegaard's happy when Partey's playing good and distributing and just getting rid of the ball quick to Odegaard and getting us going. It's Partey is the key to our system, and having him out. That's why I think, as you'll see with lineups, I think we got to do a personnel formation shift, but I don't think Arteta is ready to do that. He'll kind of go with what he knows and what's safe and what he's practiced with the most with the guys.
Yeah, I think we'll see a team, I think, that he's going to look to try and use for the long term. Well, when I say for the long term, I mean for the next 9 games. He needs to find some stability. He needs to find some players that are going to play week in, week out, and that he can stick with. That's a challenge. Speaking of which, a player, Simon, who had a torrid time against Crystal Palace was Nuno Tavares, who has come out on Twitter today, did a tweet about an hour ago, basically saying and admitting, it was a really bad night for him personally, and he owned up to kind of, his performance and wants to be better. Do you think that, he's worthy of that chance? Do you think the only way in which we get better from him is to keep playing him, or do you think it's too risky and we should go with someone else?
As you'll see in my lineup, I've actually gone for Tavares, and that's a player that I want to actually see play, just because I think it would just absolutely kill his confidence, and I don't think it's almost fair to the player, because I think Tavares is a good player. I don't think he's a bad player. He's just not as defensively sound as you'd expect for a top Arsenal left back, and that is a little bit worrying. But as you can sort of see in my lineup, I'm going to say it anyway, but I've gone for Saka on that left-hand side, just because I think Saka, and you'll have Xhaka obviously on that left side of that midfield partnership, will just give a bit of cover to Tavares when he does bomb forward, and he leaves those massive exposed holes behind him. So I think there is a way to go around it. But considering Arteta likes to use him when he has to, I think you just have to go with Tavares again, to be honest. It would just, in my opinion, it would just kill his confidence, and I don't think it's fair to drop him out, considering he started him in the last game.
Yeah, you'll see, and obviously we'll discuss in a little bit more detail where I'm sitting with that. But Bobby, I know that you feel differently on this, and is that just simply because of what you've seen? Is there an argument? If I say play devil's advocate, you look at those games against Newcastle, Watford, Aston Villa, Leicester City away. He was really good in those games, and he kept Tierney out of the team even when he came back from his injury issues. What is it about him and his performances and the worry that mean you would be more risky with your pick there? Can you hear me? Are you there? Oh, you're there. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay.
Was it right? No, it's all right. I don't know if because we got bad weather in Wolverhampton, so might be that. For me, I can't remember if Tavares was dropped when Tierney came back from injury. Was that right?
He kept Tierney on the bench for a few games, and then we played Liverpool at Anfield, and we obviously had quite a poor game. And then the following game, Tierney started after the Liverpool game.
Yeah, I think personally, I just think he needs a few games away. That's why I've gone for someone totally different tonight. I have looked into this kid. He's from West Bromwich Albion. Yeah, but he's from local area, so I've heard of him more beforehand. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this kid personally. But for me, Tavares just needs a bit of a break, and he's not a bad player. He's because I was excited when we signed him, but I just think he needs a bit of a break.
So just going on Tavares again, just because he's playing at home, the last two games where he has had a stinker were away from home, the Nottingham Forest and the Palace game. And I think just being at home could hopefully give him the confidence that he needs.
Bobby, what do you think?
Maybe.
Well, there you go.
It's just one of those. I was a right back, so if my confidence drops, I drop myself personally. So
fair enough. We'll talk a little bit more about it with the lineups, but yeah, for me, I don't know if Moss, to get your thoughts on this as well. To gain confidence, I think you need to play, and the only way that we're going to see more from him is if he plays.
Yeah, Nuno, you can tell he's a guy that needs confidence to go forward. That's why my lineup, you'll see, get him in a more comfortable spot. And I think, he had a really couple, like 2, 3, 4 games there where he was doing good. But I think he's just not there defensively. Like, I think he was a wing forward more so in Portugal, like you were saying earlier in the year, Tom. And he's still working on his defense. You can see that last game, like, follow your player no matter what. And he just stops, and Gabriel got beat by that pass, and he was nowhere to be found. And yeah, he's just got to work out on getting comfortable in our system and knowing where to be, talking. So that's why I would change the formation and make him more comfortable.
Yeah, and speaking of which, let's tackle those now. I think we start with Bobby and your team. Lino Souza and Mika Bieref make the team. Are you throwing top 4 in the bin?
No, I'm not. That's the thing.
He's playing for the future.
Exactly. For me, we've got to start giving some of these kids a chance. Now, I'm not throwing it in the bin. I'm not throwing top 4 because I think Bieref will give their centre-backs a bit of an issue, which is why I've gone for the pace down the sides. So Bieref can hold one of those into the centre because all they're going to do is just split and mark Saka and Smith-Rowe out. So if Bieref he's got some height, doesn't he? So it might just give him a little bit to worry about because Laka isn't high. They're not going to worry about him in the air, but they are going to worry about Bieref. And I think he scored 2 the other night, didn't he, against City?
In the 3-3. Definitely got on the score sheet, but I'll double check that for you. Go on.
But I've looked at his heat map. He does actually come back as well. He does work back, and so for me, I'd give him a go because Eddie, for me, no, just no.
Yeah, he did get 2 goals. One was a penalty.
Yeah,
there you go.
So I'd give him a go.
Interesting. You've kept Cedric in the team. Not tempted to switch out anyone else, like bringing Saka into a wing-back role, bringing Pepe in any way?
He's actually. I think I remember the last time I did this, I was worried about Cedric, but he has actually impressed me since that game. So for me, just keep him in there.
The chat box is asking the question why you've picked Biereth over Gabriel Martinelli as a striker option.
I'm just not convinced that Martinelli could do that job. And he's not going to give them, the tall guys in the Brighton centre-back, any issues either, personally. I think Biereth, he's got some height, and I think that just might make them think a little bit more than normal. And that's what I'm going for.
Sam says, to be honest, BRF brings a different dynamic. Sometimes we struggle to break teams down and multiple crosses come to nothing. Jay Paul was the one asking about BRF over Gabriel. And Penny Ween says, BRF is a good shout, but not the left back. So I think that's going to be a point of contention, I think, throughout this. Let's move on to Simon's 11, who has stuck with the back four. And Tavares is in there as well. But Martinelli is the pick up top.
Yeah, it's a fairly boring lineup, I suppose, in comparison to Moss and Bobby's. But yeah, I've just gone for the back four just because it's more or less what we're used to, and I think with Arteta, he likes to go with consistency. And yeah, like I said before, I think Tavares he needs to be given another chance, and with Xhaka and Saka on that left-hand side are able to give him that cover. And then I've gone with Martinelli just because I think if you think of Saka, Martinelli and Pepe as your front three, that's just the first thing that springs to my mind is pace. So, and you think how Brighton like to play. They like to have possession. They like to sort of push up the pitch as much as possible. I think we can really take advantage of that. We mostly struggle against teams that play with a deep block and a low block. So if we have the likes of Saka, Martinelli and Pepe to really expose that, I think we'd be in for a winner.
Fair enough. I like the choices. I actually think this is as close to what we will see. I think the only difference is that Pepe will be out and Lacazette will come in. But this is the team that I'm kind of expecting to see on Saturday. And of course, that would mean Saka moving to right and Martinelli going on to the left. And finally, Moss, I allowed you to go wild with your back three. So talk us through your selection, mate.
Yeah, when you said this can be the lineup that you want, I've been wanting MA to find a way all year to get Martinelli, ESR, Saka, Odegaard all on there at the same time. And I just think with Tommy and KT out, it's time to make a shift. And I'd really keep our best defenders, Gabriel, Ben White, in tight. Have Xhaka play like a Fabinho role. If he's not comfortable with that, then throw Holdinho, our club captain, in there at center and keep Xhaka, but then one of Smith or Martinelli have to go. But I just think this helps us. We still can dominate the flanks like we've been doing all year. If we get Nuno out wide left wing back and Saka can do that job, he's done it for England many times, and get him playing with Odegaard and Smith Rowe, it could be dynamic. And I think Zambi's going to do a good job. And Xhaka, with Team Switzerland, he likes to sit way back there. And I know he's a bit of a defensive frailty, but he's good at passing from there and getting the ball moving and being in the right spots. So I think it would work, but I just think MA will go back to his 4-2-3-1. But I just really think this could work with our personnel at the moment.
I think, and as you'll see from my lineup, which I'll show you now, I've gone for the back three as well. I just think that I think that when you look at 2020, when we won the FA Cup and we switched to that back three under Arteta because he recognised kind of the defensive deficiencies in the team, I feel like with these 9 games, they're 9 cup finals. So why not approach it in the same way? Why not be dogged? Why not, make yourselves even harder to beat and try and hit on the counter? The big change that people will notice, of course, is Nicolas Pepe playing at striker. I'm kind of done with Lacazette. I can't. Seeing 17 games go by without a goal from open play when our rivals are using Harry Kane and Heung-min Son is a terrifying situation to be in. And I just think that we have to see something, whether it's Pepe, whether it's Martinelli, whether it's something, whether it's BRF, as Bobby says. Look, it's not mad to suggest it. It really isn't. And that's why, I wasn't sitting here laughing, Bobby, you putting BRF in the team, because the idea of trying something different to what we've got could earn us top 4. Because right now, Lacazette is not earning us top 4. And at the end of the season, if we miss out on top 4, I will look back at that January window, like you said, Bobby, and question why we didn't reinforce in the striker position. There's a strong argument to be had about who that person is. I've always talked about Weghorst being a different option for us. And, I don't know why that wasn't something that we could pursue on a cheap deal. Yes, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist at Burnley, but at Arsenal, it's very different, and you're getting a stupid more amount of chances than you're getting at Burnley. So I'm assuming it would be very different, sure. But there's just something about trying something new. And I think that holding White and Gabriel bring that. I think that it enables Tavares to show what he's good at, which is going forwards, and gives him that security as well. And to be honest, I did tweak something slightly as well, just by saying that when we're on the attack, it kind of turns into this, which is where you've got Pepe and Martinelli playing kind of centrally. Erdegaard goes in behind them. Tavares and Saka are pushed up high, and you've still got that strong defensive unit behind. And that's kind of what it looks like when you're on the attack, because Tavares would play so high up, and as would Saka. It's vulnerable, arguably, more so on the counter. That's the big question that you've got. But it's just, we just need to try something. We need to try something different to start getting the goals. And I think Brighton's a really good place to start with some experimentation, because it's a game that, you know, I think we can afford to make a couple of changes and still have a really good chance of winning. The real Yanis in the chat, thank you for the donation, mate, says, at the risk of sounding negative, I'm very worried. And if the team doesn't end the season well, could we actually consider replacing Arteta? I'm going to make this a yes or no question. Moss, yes or no?
No, Arteta is building something. You got to go with it.
Bobby.
Sack him.
And Simon.
Absolutely no. Keep the guy. I agree with Moss. We're building something. Even if we end 6th, I think maybe 7th, there's an argument for it. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if we finish 6th, then I think there's still an argument to keep him, as long as we just, you know, work hard on the recruitment and do what we basically did in the summer. Then I think, you know, we should keep him.
Fair enough. I also go with that I would not consider changing him if we finished in the top 6. I also think, look, I know that the obvious response is, oh, you're making excuses. But at the same time, you know, losing Partey, you know, losing Tierney in these last 10 games is massive. And the mood before Palace was so different, and it's so crazy to me how things have just switched so rapidly off the back of one game. Because as I talked about, and Sophie from the Hybrid Squad's asked me to send something in, so it's a kind of a sneak preview for what that's going to be. United have won 1 of their last 6 games, and Spurs have lost 8 of their last 17. We lose 1 game and all of a sudden Arsenal are falling apart. And I think that's a lot to do with, you know, the injuries that we faced and the way in which we lost against Palace. All of those factors have contributed. But, you know, against Brighton, if we pick up 3 points and Spurs drop points away at Villa, which is very possible, suddenly the complexity changes. And it is going to change between now and the end of the season. It's going to be about how Arsenal deal with these remaining fixtures. I'm not going to be mean and ask you guys for a prediction about top 4, but I am going to be mean enough to ask for a prediction for the Brighton game. Simon, scoreline, please.
I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. I just think we've got more than enough to beat Brighton. Where we lost to Crystal Palace, I don't think there's really much of a shame in losing to Palace. They're actually a decent team. What Vieira's doing there is really commendable, and I really admire what he's doing there. But if we were to lose to Brighton, there's a hell of a lot of shame to be had. I don't think we should be losing to Brighton at home. We should be beating them easily. They've lost their last 7, and 6 of those have been losses, and the last game was a draw. So yeah, they're absolutely they're absolutely in the mire. So we need to take advantage of that and beat them. So yeah, 3-1 for me.
Bobby.
Hard fought 2-0 win.
Because
Brighton are just awful at the moment. I think
that's the obvious answer.
Arsenal are still going to struggle because, you know, I just think our confidence has been knocked quite badly against Palace. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 2-0.
And Moss.
Yeah, I was originally 2-0 or 3-0 going to smash Brighton, but with our recent having to play Nuno, Cedric, and everything, losing TP, I'm saying 2-1. Trossard or someone will get a goal, but I'm with Amira there too. I think Ben White or Gabriel, one of them is going to get a header in this game, and probably an ESR or Martinelli goal. But I'm like you, Tom, as well. I think Pepe deserves a chance here. Like, if Laka is struggling or tired, like halftime, make the switch. Throw Martinelli up there, throw Pepe up there, and let's give it a go and a run at them and see how it looks.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I've been saying 3-0, so I've got to stick with that. I don't quite know where those 3 goals are going to come from, but I'm going to go with 3-0. The chat box, you can tell that we've taken a bit of a hit. Penny Wing going for a 0-0, sadly for me. Hugh going for an Arsenal 1-0 win. Harvey going for a 2-1. Ramsey says 2-0 to the Arsenal. Erdegaard and Lacazette on the score sheet. I mean, if Lacazette does start, I'll be willing him to score a hat-trick because, he needs that. Desperately needs that. Matt Thornton says 2-0 Smith Rowe to get the first. Chris going for a 2-1, please. Amira says Benjamin White header from a corner with a 1-0 win. Sam going for a 2-1 victory as well. Schrodinger's cat flap going for a Xhaka red card and a loss in this game, though. Ian says 1-1. Tulip going, if a back 3, then 3-0. Else, it'll be 4-1 to Arsenal. Maguna says 4-1 Arsenal. Shove it in the critics' faces. Essential Departure says 2-0 Arsenal. And Quay says 3-1 to the Arsenal with Laka getting one off the bench as well. Johan going for a 1-0, as is Terry. Thank you to my panel. They've been absolutely fantastic. Chat box, if we could show them some love, I really would appreciate that, as would they. Moss, thank you so much, mate. Give yourself a shout out and tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, I just started Moss Sports Talk recently after a little bit of trouble. But yeah, I go on with Tariq Talks and Tom and the Chronicles area. But yeah, I do a lot of the North American sports, of course, watch-alongs with Premier League on the weekend, of course, too. And me and Bobby, we all love the Arsenal. We get together, too, for some watch-alongs. So, yeah, and IG, make me a connection, Instagram.
Lovely stuff. I love the fact that TGT is just a birthplace of other podcasts. I love it. It's great. And, we've seen so many people come onto the channel and then start their own channels, and they love what they do doing it. So it's great to see. So do definitely go check out Moss's channel because it's definitely worth a watch. Bobby, thank you so much, mate, as always, for coming on the show. Appreciate the diverse views. Tell people where they can find you, mate.
Discord, and obviously I just do loads of watch-alongs for my anxiety reasons. So yeah, just come if you see watch. I'm doing one tonight. I'm doing Braga Rangers tonight. So just watch-alongs, just chill, chat in the box, and that's it. Nothing major
stuff. Is that all we all love the Arsenal? Is that where you find it?
Yeah, it's literally that Walter. Yeah. That's down to Creambone and Moss, actually, the name now, Walter. That's what they started calling me, so I've just changed it.
Brilliant. And Simon, so glad to see your face again after an entire year. Massive congratulations on the little one, and best of luck, mate. But tell people where they can find you as well. Still doing the podcast?
I am, mate. Yeah, you can still find me at the Football Fan Force, aka the Triple F. Although I haven't been doing it for a while, just little baby's been taking precedence in my life. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I will be back on it. But yeah, you can find me on there. And thanks again for having me, Tom. And it's great joining you, Moss and Bobby.
Absolutely, our pleasure to have you on the show. And give me a shout, Simon. I'm sure I'll drop onto your pod again without a problem. Are you watching Atalanta again, Moss?
1-0.
Who scored?
Luis Muriel, Colombian.
Oh, Muriel getting the goal again. Let's wrap up so we can let Moss get back to the footy, and of course you guys as well in the chat box. Keep your eye out on Leicester City PSV. Cody Gakpo getting a Premier League test tonight, so certainly one to keep an eye on. So enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for the next update with more fallout from the Thomas Partey injury, and of course Mikel Arteta's press conference is also tomorrow as well. See you soon. Have a great day, and as always, up the Arsenal.